welcome. Thank you guys for hanging out. Sorry about that technical issue. I must have shut off my microphone last time after I was done and forgot to turn it back on. So what a great start. Thank you guys for hanging out. Once again, before I kind of start out, I want to just kind of give a shout out to everyone who's watching, kind of reading through some comments here. So we got Heather from Knoxville, Tennessee. Heather, appreciate you being here. Joshua dealing with the loss all the way in Buffalo, Minnesota. I'm sure that's not a fun week for you. So, yeah, appreciate you checking in. My guy Tully over in Altoona, Iowa, not to be confused with Altoona, Wisconsin, where Fuzzy Thurston is from. Frankie in Norway, Michigan. Frankie, you're still dead to me. Corey also dealing with it over in Minnesota, New Ulm, Minnesota. Appreciate you watching, Corey. My guy, Dakota, Columbia Heights, Minnesota. A lot of Minnesota. I'm sorry you guys are dealing with it. And then Josh over in Evansville, Indiana. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, fun technical issues here to start. And then we got I see Katie popping in with Iowa. I know she's dealing with it as well. As always, here's the form to enter for the giveaways. So if you haven't done this before, if you're new here and you're watching for the first time, I appreciate you being here. Enter your information in this form. I don't do anything with the information. It's just for me to be able to contact you and draw a winner, of course, but I'm not selling your email or anything like that. Like, it just goes into the internet sphere after this, and not going to any third party or anything like that. We're going to draw a winner later on in the show. If you're here, claim your prize. If you're not, you'll lose it. So make sure you're here, at least having it on in the background. You have until the end of the episode to claim your prize. So if your name's called, make sure you claim it by the end of the episode. I see Roger as well from Grand Rapids, Michigan, probably dealing with Lions fans in Michigan. So sorry to hear that. Yeah, what a week. I guess let's get into it. No better time than the present. What a week. The Packers fall 31-29 to the Vikings. Before I kind of start breaking everything down, hats off to the Vikings. They obviously had a great game plan coming into the game. They executed. They took care of the ball when they needed to. They put points on the board when they needed to, and they stifled our offense, especially early on. I think, it was obviously a tale of two halves, but they came into the game very prepared. We're going to talk all about it. It's never fun to talk about a loss, but I think it's important to talk about losses because you need to understand where things went wrong, and without dealing with losses, you can't enjoy wins. So let's get into it. Like, what happened on Sunday? So I know I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, and I think the biggest thing is the missed opportunities. We've talked about this, I feel like, every week. Last week wasn't so bad. I felt like the game was a pretty flawless game last week. I think the only issue that we really had was penalties, which is also a reoccurring issue. But, if we're talking about some missed opportunities from this week, and I should preface this, I understand you're not going to make every single play every week. You're always going to have missed opportunities. The problem that we're seeing is that a lot of these missed opportunities the Packers are running into are very costly. Not last week, but against the Colts, we saw Quay Walker drop an interception, which would have ended that final drive before it really even got going. Week one, we saw plenty of missed opportunities, whether it's not capitalizing on the red zone, penalties, such like that. This week is really no different. We saw McDuffie drop an interception on that first drive that really could have set the tone for the game. If you can get that interception and go down and put some points on the board, whether it's 3 or 7, does that really change momentum starting out the game? It felt like the Vikings, we dropped that interception and then they capitalized on a 3rd and 14, and you're thinking, oh boy, here we go. It's going to be one of those days. And it was. So we have McDuffie dropping that. And just drops in general by the offense. We saw Wicks dropping a touchdown later on in the game, hit him right in the chest, right on a fourth down play, hit him right in the chest, dropped it. That resulted in obviously us not getting any points. First drive, he dropped that ball. It was a little low by Love. I'm not putting all the blame on Wicks by any means. Hit him in the, he had his hands on it, dropped that, which would have probably, at least picked up the first down, if not, resulted in the Packers scoring a touchdown. Unfortunately, he drops it. We attempt a field goal. We miss the field goal. You have the deflection by Musgrave, which resulted in the ball changing trajectory. Dobbs misguided where it was going to be, misses the catch, and then bobbles it right into a defender's hands. That was another one that was like, backbreaker. All of these things are just resulting in momentum being lost and the Vikings capitalizing. And once again, Vikings did their job. I'm not, they get paid to make plays too. So I'm not saying like, hey, it's all because the Packers are at fault. Minnesota's making plays. That's just how it goes. We obviously had 2 bad missed kicks. We'll talk about those more. And then penalties. 8 penalties for 68 yards. 1 coming before halftime, which really could have really made things bad by taking a ball at like the 2-yard line. And then you got that penalty by Matt that pushed us way back. Ultimately, we're still able to score a touchdown with Jaden Reed. But I mean, that's a costly time to have one of those penalties. I don't disagree with LaFleur. He was wanting a timeout. He was trying to call a timeout. It felt like the ref looked at him while he's calling a timeout and just completely ignores it. So, yeah, I mean, those are just some of the missed opportunities that we're looking at, right? There's more. You can always count like minor ones, but those are like kind of the key ones that jumped out at me. Starting out the game, when we got the report that Jair was missing and we're without Carrington, I knew it was going to be a tough game, right? You're already coming in and playing a tough team, and now you have a team that is short-staffed, if you will, with Eric Stokes, which is fine, but then you also have Ballantyne trying to cover, in Addison or Jefferson, and then Nixon as well, who's been playing stronger, I would say, is more of like a nickel corner as opposed to being the guy that's covering those top receivers. So it was a tough assignment just to even start things off, and Minnesota capitalized on that. They knew that was a weakness and they took care of it. That's how it goes. But along with Jair, we also saw Watson go for a ball earlier on in the game. At the time, I thought it was a hospital ball thrown by Love. I thought it was at the time, I thought it was a really bad throw thrown by Love. Obviously, anytime you have an interception, it's probably not the best read. But what I didn't realize until I saw a breakdown by Andy Herman of Pack-A-Day, which he has a lot of great content. I'd recommend anyone check him out. Really, Minnesota's defense was just studying and prepared. Their linebacker was supposed to drop back further. He kept an eye up on Jordan Love rather than continue to progress back. And he ended up just kind of coming down on it where Love wasn't expecting it. No one was expecting it on the Packers offense. And then Love also had pressure coming in his face, and no one picked up the pressure. So he didn't have time to second guess the read. He made the read. Fortunately, it wasn't the right one at this point, but Watson still went for the ball, still went for the play. Didn't look like a good, ideal situation for him. And obviously we saw that with an injury, high ankle sprain for Watson. And as fans, I know it's tough, right? We see these guys get injured. And sometimes they're guys that we see get injured numerous times, or they're on the injury report multiple times. The Watsons, the Jairs. I know when I posted the update that Jair was going to be out, I saw a lot of people like, oh my God, this pansy. Oh, this guy's always missing. This guy, all he does is talk. He never plays. And I understand the frustration, right? A lot of people who comment like that are fans from like Lombardi's era or like the 70s, where it's like, you just played. You played through it all. That was part of it. It's like the toughness, right? That's part of football. unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on what side you're looking at it, it's not Lombardi's era anymore. The NFL is a completely different world. The NFL is a business. The players are investments for the teams. The players probably want to play. I can't imagine they want to sit around and twirl their thumbs. Everyone hated on Bakhtiari for the longest time because he was out. I guarantee he's not saying, "Oh, I got paid, so I'm good to just coast." He wants to be out there. Those guys feel bad that they're not out there. However, the Packers, in a lot of situations, have been extremely conservative with shutting injuries down. If there's even a chance that a guy could really re-aggravate it or make it worse, odds are they're not going to play them. I have a feeling that's probably what we saw with Jair. It's a business decision. If it means losing Jair for 1 or 2 games rather than losing him for the rest of the season or worse, it makes sense for them to do that. They're paying this guy a lot of money. I mean, he has a cap hit of $24 million this year, and he has 2 more years on his contract after that. The team wants him around. They want to get their return on their investment. They're not going to force him out there, even if it means putting the team in a worse situation. Now, I know fans will be like, oh, these players don't deserve that much money. They don't deserve that much money. Well, the Packers made $650 million last year. And as much as I love Mark Murphy, I'm not going to Packer games and buying Packers merchandise for Mark Murphy. I support the team and the players that are going out there. And if they're bringing in $650 million in revenue, the players deserve the money. Plain and simple. They're the ones that are putting their bodies on the line week in and week out. They're obviously not going to get 100% of that 650, but they deserve that money. They're the reason the fans are at Lambeau Field. They're the reason of the revenues being there. So I know in a perfect world, everyone that deserves the money would make it and whatever. But if you're, if you're the top 1% at something in the world, I'm guessing you're going to make a lot of money. And that's the case with these players. Another kind of thing that we saw early on in the game is we saw Jordan have some rust. That was expected. He hasn't played since week 1, missed week 2 and week 3. Week 1 was a Friday night game, so it was extra early in the thing. So I don't remember exactly what he's been out, but it has to be close to 3 weeks without football. There was a lot of rust. You saw it early on. It seemed like he settled in as the game went on, which was good to see. Early on, a lot of low balls were thrown. It seemed like, the offensive line wasn't always doing him the most favors. There was a lot of pressure, especially early on. It seemed like things kind of settled in as it went. He had 3 interceptions, of course. He wore the Favre jersey before the game, and he meant it. He's the first player for the Packers to throw 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions since Favre did it in 1999. So it was a very, very Favre-esque performance for him. 2 of which I don't really think were, solely on his shoulders. Defense made some great plays. We talked about the one to Watson. We talked about the one to Dobbs. The one that I think was kind of inexcusable was that bomb to Wicks. I think it was like in the either late 3rd or the 4th quarter. I think that one was in the 4th quarter. I don't know if there's a miscommunication with Wicks of like, hey, we're going to just do a jump ball, 50-50 ball, because it seemed like Wicks kind of like gave up on the route or maybe slipped, but it kind of looked more like a punt than actually a deep ball. But he did seem to settle in as the game went. I know Viking fans are trying to say it's all garbage time, and that's what it was. I don't think that's the case. The Vikings were still obviously trying to stop the team, especially when they came within 2 points of the game or when they're making it a competitive game. The Vikings weren't just playing prevent the whole time. So Jordan Love settled in. They got a rhythm. They got momentum going. That's football for you. Momentum swings. Rhythms happen. They went up tempo, which I think helped really start producing on offense. And I hope, the next couple of weeks with the Rams, and then the Cardinals, I hope we can see that kind of rush shake out and we kind of go back to what we saw, kind of end of year last year. I unfortunately saw a lot of comments saying, Malik should have started. The Packers would have won. Malik was 2-0. It's like, calm down, guys. Malik did a great job. He did his job while Jordan was out, but he also went against some very lesser opponents than a 3-0 Minnesota Viking team that had knocked out the Texans and the 49ers in the past 2 weeks. They're a much different team than the Colts or the Titans. Love Malik. Really happy to have him on our team. But I think if Jordan is 80%, you put Jordan out there, which it looked like the Packers did. You need to shake off that rust sometime. I don't think the outcome's any different if Malik's playing. I just don't think we make that bounce back into the game if Malik's playing. It is what it is. I told my wife before the game, I said, hey, if the Packers lose today, everyone's gonna, not everyone, but whatever, generalization, everyone's gonna be saying that Malik should have been starter, Malik. And unfortunately I saw that. It is what it is. I know, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Narveson missing 2 kicks, pretty crucial kicks, 37 and a 48 or 49 yarder. Obviously things don't always shake out one for one. If those get made, the game plans changed a lot, but it sure would have been nice not to leave 6 points off the board. Right. My thought I had after the game is there a deeper concern here? Greg Joseph on Thursday Night Football went 5 of 5. He was the one that the Packers cut in favor of Narveson. He went 5 for 5 in his loss to the Cowboys, or in their loss to the Cowboys. The Giants lost to the Cowboys. And he had 3 kicks over 40 yards in that game, one of which was a 52-yarder. So you're wondering, okay, well, if he was struggling with success, and obviously it's a one game, right? Could be an outlier, could just be one of those days where he was on. But if he was struggling in Green Bay and he goes somewhere else and he's having a better performance and honors Carlson's struggling in Green Bay, we don't know what he's going to do. He's still a free agent. Is there a deeper issue here? Is the long snap not the greatest? Is the hold not the greatest? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just kind of speculating here. I did have a friend that was at the game, and he said that even in pregame warmups, it seemed like Narveson was all over the place. It was a little windy at the game. Maybe that played a factor in it, but just kind of speculating. Is there more of an issue here that Green Bay's not addressing or not figuring out? Because it seems like it's been an issue now for a couple of years. There's obviously a lot, there's a lot here that we've talked about that was bad. A lot of stuff bad, right? There's also a lot that was good. A lot that was good despite the loss. There's a lot that was good. Xavier, 4 picks in 4 games. Now, the interception, probably a questionable one. I know I have a lot of Viking fans crying in my comments 2 days later because of an interception in a game that they won. I personally can't imagine crying about a play in a game that I won or that my team won multiple days later. But, to each their own. The refs reviewed it. It stood. Such is life. Welcome to being a football fan. But 4 picks in 4 games, absolutely beautiful. What an impact he's been making. I said it earlier yesterday. I think he's the best free agent signing we've had since Julius Peppers. Some might even argue since Woodson. I thought Julius Peppers was a huge signing, especially 2014. He had an outstanding year. I'm still going to stick with Julius Peppers. Some might say since Charles Woodson, but, teach their own. I just think Julius. Nixon had a great forced fumble off that edge rush right on the blind side of Darnold with a nice recovery by Cooper. Wicks, despite the drops and the misses, had a hell of a game. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, I believe. And really, I'm hoping he can continue to grow on that because last year he was very crucial for us. It seemed like he was always getting open. So as long as we can kind of either get the ball where he's expecting it or have him hold on to those, it's gonna be I think he's going to be a huge weapon for us. And depending on what Watson's timeline is, we might see more Wicks. So hopefully he can kind of continue to grow into that and kind of get those drops behind him like he did last year. And then for all the like meh throws that Love had, we also saw a lot of beautiful throws. That one where he was running to his right, hit Jaden right between two Viking defenders, avoiding the rush on the way. I mean, those are the throws of why the Packers think he's their guy, or why they know he's their guy, and why they paid him to be their guy. I will say it's kind of funny. You can really tell which fans are either younger or they've gotten so used to watching Rodgers because of the overreactions on, or maybe not overreactions. Interceptions suck, but I remember a time when you're watching Favre and if he's cocking back, you're like, this is either going to be like an incredible throw or who knows what's going to happen here. Who's going to come down with it? And there's some of that with Love. Rodgers is obviously one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. You're not going to have that every quarterback you get. You hope that it's not as bad as Favre, but that was one of the things people were critical of Rodgers, was that at times he tried being too perfect and he wasn't willing to like make those mistakes when you got in that hole. We're seeing that with Love. In years past, if you're down big like that, especially heading into the fourth quarter, that feels like a game's done. That feels like in years past, that feels like the team's given up. There's no chance. See you next time. It's done. And to see the Packers rally, whether Viking fans want to say it's all garbage time and it's meaningless and whatever, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. Maybe they went a little bit softer, sure. But they were sweating. They weren't just like, let's keep letting them, drive the field. Keep letting them have those 90-yard drives. That's not a problem. But I love to see that despite being down so big, they just kept doing it. They didn't care. Jordan's not trying to be perfect. He's like, I'm going to just try to make a play. Now, on the flip side, I think at times Jordan can try to get back all 28 points in one throw, and it doesn't work like that. So there's that fine balance. But man, it's it's nice to see that team doesn't give up the fight, even if it means making some mistakes. You can't make omelets without breaking a few eggs. So that was that was fun to see. It's exciting to see this offense. Even when it was a struggle at first, it's still exciting to see what they can do. Another big win is the Packers have already surpassed the number of interceptions that they saw that they had in 2023 through 4 games in 2024. I don't know that we keep on that trajectory the whole year, but man, this defense talked a lot about turnovers and they're backing it up. Really, really awesome to see. I mean, I've been rambling a lot here. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about the game. But it was definitely a roller coaster of a game. It felt better to I don't know. I guess it felt somewhat better to lose by 2 points. I think it plays a lot more of the what if games at that point. But Heather mentions it here. This team has a lot of fight in them, and that's 100% the case. They didn't just roll over and just give up on the game, which was really nice to see. Let's see here. Just kind of looking through some comments. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tony, I've seen this. Tony, I think he always hitting the nail on the head here. I've seen this tweet, regurgitated a bunch of times, but it's like, who would have thought it was harder to replace Mason Crosby than Rodgers? A lot of teams would be happy to have Jordan as their quarterback and pay him a lot of money, which is why the Packers did it. It's here we are looking to replace Mason Crosby. Okay, so Rogers said here, Narvison said there's no issue on holder snap, is all him. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like he'd probably be saying that regardless if there was, but it probably is more on his shoulders. So there's probably no argument there. It's just me kind of pondering this as I'm watching the game, just because we've seen a history of these misses, continuously missing. And we're going to kind of talk about it here a little bit more. Let's see here. I mean, once again, though, I do want to say, like, hey, nice job, Vikings. You kicked our tail last year when you came to Lambeau. Hard fought win this year again at Lambeau. We'll see if the results happen in Minnesota the same way they did last year. Um, Rivalry games are always fun. We're the black and blue division for a reason. It's always going to be a battle. It's always going to be fun. Very seldom is it a one-sided affair. Uh, so I love having the rivalry. I've talked about it numerous times. Brother and dad are Viking fans, so the rivalry is just fun. Rivalry is fun. It's not always fun when you're on this side of it, but it's a fun rivalry. All right. Let's get into some questions here. So we have burning hot questions fueled by legendaries that I absolutely love. Legendaries. Everyone knows that if you've been following my page more than like a week. I go to legendaries far too often. And all season long, anytime the Badgers or Packers are playing, you can get a dozen wings for $10 when you're dining in at legendaries. They have 4 locations throughout Wisconsin, so go find one. Go check out legendaries. Go eat legendaries. Tell them I sent you. If you go to the Green Bay one, they might not know who I am. They probably just know me as Ben, but tell them I sent you. Maybe they'll know. Let's see these questions. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. Let's talk about it. Kind of start off on some questions here. My thing reset here. All right, we got Frankie. Frankie always comes in good with some questions. Frankie said, what has been your favorite interaction with a player or coach you've had? Oh, man, Frankie, there are so many examples of that I could probably give. Favorite interaction. Well, throughout the years, I've been very fortunate to get to know Desmond Bishop. That's no surprise to anyone that has been following me. I've gotten to know him and his family, and over the years, I've gotten to do some absolutely insane things. One that kind of comes to mind right away is in 2011. I got to go to a game with his now wife, Gita. We went to a game together, and as she was giving me the ticket to the game, she's like, "Hey, what are you doing after the game?" And I said, I'm just, I'm going to hang out in the hotel, just kind of relax after the game. She's like, "Well, there's a party down in the players lounge if you want to come." So we sit, it was a Christmas Day game, 2011 against the Bears. We sit at like the 2-yard line, 50 yard, second row in the 50-yard line. And after the game, Packers win, of course. It's against the Bears, of course. Do we have to say that? But after the game, go downstairs into this players lounge where they are serving food. They have like a smoothie bar where you can kind of go up and make your own smoothies, hang out. But I'm sitting down there, and all the players and all their family are down there. Aaron Rodgers is down there. His family was there. It's probably when he still had a relationship with them. Donald Driver's there with his family. I'm sitting by Sam Shields' family. Nick Collins, the Matthews, everyone's just down there, just mingling, eating food. I'm getting a smoothie, hanging out, and I'm sitting there looking at their Super Bowl trophies because the real ones are in that player lounge area. And it's kind of getting late. Everyone's trickling out. I'm sitting there hanging out with Gita, and out walks Nick Collins. And Nick almost bumps into me, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Nick." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know who you are, Nick. I've been watching you play since 2005." And him and I talked for a bit, and that's just like one of the stories of many that I've had because of my relationship with Desmond and kind of all the things he's done for me over the years. If we're taking away any Desmond stories, I think one of my other really like fond interactions was when I got to meet Mike Holmgren after sadly following the NFC Championship loss to the Seattle Seahawks, and I got to kind of pick his brain on the game, and we talked about what went wrong with the Packers. And he's like, I was watching it with my wife, and I told him Packers going to win this game unless like 4 or 5 bad things happen, and then I watched all of them happen. So he was a really cool person to meet, especially because I became a fan in the early 90s when I was like 3 or 4, that Mike Holmgren was always like up there for me because that was the coach I grew up with. So that was a really fun opportunity and fun experience. So appreciate that question, Frankie. Let's see here. Jimbo, great question. How did you get this page and start? A little backstory. Appreciate that question, Jimbo. So, kind of an odd situation. At the time, it was like 2017. For a long time, I had a skateboarding company, and I decided to stop doing the skateboarding company. I was getting older. I still skateboarded, but I just, it was fun, but I was losing a lot of money on it. And it was just like time to kind of transition into something else. And I was really stuck in a rut on like what I wanted to do. And I was thinking on it and thinking on it. I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? And someone had reached out to me on my personal Twitter when I had it and was like, hey man, we're coming to a game. My grandpa's never been to Green Bay. We're surprising him with a trip and tickets to the game. It's a lifelong dream of his to go to a Packers game. I want this to be the best experience yet. How can we do that? So I gave him a list of things. I was like, hey, check out these restaurants. Check out, this thing to do, this thing to see. And afterwards, I was kind of reflecting on it. And I was like, hey, if Jordan needs it, his name was Jordan. I said, if Jordan needs this, there's probably a lot of people that are wondering the same information and just need a source to find it. There's probably this information already online, but maybe they just don't know where to find it, or maybe it's not a good enough, source. So I was just like, hey, I'm going to start this. I was going to call it Green Bay Guy. Just Green Bay Guy, because I'm just a guy in Green Bay, but that domain or something was taken. So I just did the Green Bay Guy. I was a little worried it's going to be kind of pretentious, right? Like, because I'm not the guy. I'm not the Green Bay guy. Like, I'm a guy in Green Bay. I'm not the guy. And so, I was like, I want to just do something that's going to be able to help fans. So I made a website. I started going to restaurants, started putting together stuff for people to do. It's transformed a lot over 7 years. Thankfully, it's actually changed my life dramatically because my career now is in web development. And it started because of, me with the Green Bay Guy and like really learning how to build a website and build it properly and learning different, coding languages, having to learn JavaScript and React. And I haven't implemented React on this, but just learning different languages and packages, libraries and all that fun stuff, learning SEO to make my blog post stand out better so people who are searching can find it. And it's been a lot of learning, but really it's changed my life for the better. And I'm beyond fortunate that I did it because I've gotten to know a lot of people. A lot of them are here and got a lot of fun experiences from it. So thanks for that question, Jimbo. That was great. Great to kind of walk down memory lane. Let's see here. I feel like we've been talking a lot. I don't want to go too far over an hour tonight. So maybe a couple more here. So Josh says, your multi-autographed helmets, who are they of? There's a lot of, they're all from different like training camps. Actually, one of them, this one right here, Mark sent it to me. Him and I had a deal back in, I think 2018. So I know Mark's watching. Mark, shout out to you, Mark. He sent me that one, and he actually sent me two. My now wife and I went to training camp and got both helmets signed, and the agreement was I would send one back and pay for the shipping and stuff with all the autographs in exchange for the other helmet, just because he wanted to give me one, and I refused to accept it for free because I don't like taking things for free. So but yeah, they're all different training camp years. I don't remember all the autographs on all of them. I'd have to go through. I know I have, no, actually, I'm sorry. That wasn't the one Mark gave me. One Mark gave me is down below, lower. You can't see it, but it is on the shelf. I got 3 helmets over here, but I know on one of the helmets I got like Jeff Saturday, which was kind of fun because I know that's probably 2012 Saturday was on the team. So, you got to kind of look for those one-off guys to be able to figure out what year it is, but been a lot of fun. There's a lot of years where I went to training camp, and it's a great great momentum, kind of reflect on when I'm looking at the helmet. So, um, yeah. See, Katie says prior to 17, you helped me out as well with training camp, giving tips and tricks, restaurants to try. Appreciate you, Katie. Yeah, Katie and I go way back to Twitter, way back in the day. So, yeah, a lot of good questions. One that wasn't asked that I had written down here is that I was going to kind of talk on is the rumor mill is swirling. It's swirling. The the rumor mill is swirling because Devontae Adams has requested or said he would like to be traded, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if anyone is super surprised. It seemed like, especially if you watch the Netflix show, it seemed like he's pretty frustrated to be in Las Vegas. Got to be nothing worse, though, right? Than putting in your 2 weeks at a job, going to another job, and just realizing that it sucks, and now you're kind of just stuck there for a while. So, some people are like, "Hey, are we going to see him back in Green Bay?" I don't think so. We received a first and second round pick for him. Back in 2022? He's got some big money coming out. Looks like he has cap hits of 40 million plus in 2025 and 2026, which is really expensive. And then we have a list of guys that are probably going to be looking at second contracts. Zach Tom, top of the list. His contract's coming up. We need to keep him around. Other notables, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Christian Watson. What do you do with him? Romeo Dobbs. What do you do with him? Sean Ryan, Dontavian Wicks. And then Malik Willis, you're probably going to have to pay him $50 to $60 million if Packer fans are running the franchise by then. I saw someone joke that maybe we can give Malik Willis to Oakland for Devontae and Carlson from Oakland. So Oakland, sorry, old habits from Las Vegas. Maybe that's the case. I don't think the Packers bring him back, though. I don't know that he goes to New York. I know a lot of people speculate that, like, oh, he's going to go to New York. Of course, he's going to go to the Jets. But, I don't think that happens. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? Where do you think Devontae's going to go? Is New York going to overpay for him because they got a small window and they want to keep Rodgers happy and he's kind of running as GM right now in New York? I don't know. What do you guys think? I'll answer like another question or so. I'm going to post that form again. If you haven't entered yet, we're going to be drawing it next. So make sure you enter. Let's make sure. I think the form's now posted in both of them, YouTube and Facebook. So make sure you enter. Okay. Don't want anyone to miss out. Tony says what's my most prized Packers memorabilia? Another great question, Tony. So recently when I did my Hot Ones video, I think someone, Jackie asked that, my friend Jackie. I have a lot of different stuff. Sentimentally, my grandma made me a quilt that says "We love our Green Bay Packers." I think she passed away in like 2019. My grandma was one of the most important people in my life. So obviously it's really tough to lose someone who's that close to you. Having that is a very meaningful thing for me and one of my most prized possessions, let alone Packers possessions. But when I'm talking just straight like Packers memorabilia, I have a Vince Lombardi handwritten play, which is really cool. Kind of a funny story on how I got that. I was browsing Craigslist back in, 2009, 2010. And a guy, his grandpa had passed away and left him all this Packers memorabilia. He didn't care at all about the Packers. He just wanted money for it. So I offered him, I like lowballed him on it, and he ended up taking it for one of the plays. So I think I got it for like $100 back in the day. It came with like a JSA authentication. I should have bought both of them in hindsight, but I was a poor kid. So spending $100 on a Lombardi play was a big deal at the time. But yeah, I would say that. And I also have Desmond Bishop's game used jersey from his first career start, which is very meaningful to me. Desmond was nice enough to let me mail it to him to sign it for me. And he wrote, all his stats out in that game. Fortunately, the Packers lost that game, but still really cool to have. We have an agreement that maybe one day when I die, it'll go to his son. So I know Desmond like super stoked that I have it because I'm definitely like his biggest fan outside of family. So um Raymond, yeah, or Raymondo, click the link in the chat. You should see a Google form in there. Fill that out. I think it's like a shortened link, so it's like forms.gle. Fill that out, and I'm going to be drawing the winner here shortly. Let's see here. Heather says, my daughter surprised me with my first game day tickets, which was actually Roger and Cobb's last game. Although Lions beat us, I had a blast in Green Bay, coming back for Thanksgiving Day game for my second game. Awesome, Heather. I hope the second game is a better one. Now, if they do lose your second game, you're never welcome back again. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, of course. But when you are coming to Green Bay, if you have any questions, if you need anything, feel free to text me. My phone number is on the website and my email's there as well. Don't call me. I don't answer phone calls, so just don't call me. Texts are welcome. Emails are out welcomed, but don't call me. All right, let's I think we've got enough time here. Let's do this giveaway. So, huge thank you to Nicolay Law. Without Nicolay Law sponsoring this podcast, sponsoring my page, we wouldn't be able to do these giveaways. I'm so grateful to work with them. And, all season long, anytime the Packers lose, we are doing a double giveaway because when bad things happen in your life, Nicolay Law has your back. So thank you, Nicolay Law. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, a Packers loss isn't the worst thing that could happen in someone's lives. But if you are injured or in an accident or something like that, get Nicolay Law. They're great company in the area. They're really nice to work with. They treat their partners really great. I couldn't be more thankful to work with them. So let's draw a winner here. So this is always the part where it's a little bit slow, right? I got to get these responses. I got to make sure that I filter out some email addresses so we're not we don't want to dox anyone. It's never our intention here. All right, I got to hide some columns here. 1 second, then I'll share this screen. Awesome. I think I got it all set. I'm going to just grab it. Looks like we have 25 entries. So that's great. Share the screen here, and then we will paste this list in. All right, should have that there. Get rid of last week's list. 25 entries, a lot of familiar names, a lot of first-time people too. So appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you being here. Good luck to everyone. We're going to be doing two. So if your name's drawn, make sure you comment. Let me know what number you want from 1 to 40 and whether up or down. So first one, good luck, everyone. Oh, I swear. Oh my gosh, Mark. Every time you're in the mix. Frankie, if you're still in here, man, let me know. 1 through 40, up or down. If Mark wins this, he's banned from ever winning another one because he won 2 the first week. Looks like we're safe from Mark. And then we got Heather. So let's get rid of this here. Congratulations to you too. Let me know 1 through 40, up or down, if you could, please. I don't know what happened there. Am I still here? Can you guys see me? I don't know. Like my thing kicked me out. Are we good? Am I back? I'm having all sorts of technical difficulty. Can anyone confirm I'm back? Okay. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it. All right. I don't know what happened there. All right. I see Frankie's 10 up. So number 10 already selected? Yeah, 10. All right, 10 up. So the reason we do up or down is this is the first time we've had it. Number 10's already gone. So rather than me saying, okay, pick another number, we're going to just go up to the next one, which is 13. 13 right here. Can't see it, Frankie, but sucks to suck. And I can only say that to Frankie because he's dead to me, because we used to go to Legend Larry's a lot together and then he moved away. So 13, Frankie wins a Mark Tauscher signed 8x10. I doubt you can see it. It's kind of blown out. It's not Mark Tauscher signed 8x10. Congratulations, Frankie. You got to take me to Legend Larry's to get it. And then we have Heather, who said 32 down. I think we have 32. I don't know anyone's went that high yet. So 32. Thank you guys for all who entered. 32 right here. You can't see it, but I hope you trust me, Heather. Good luck. See what you won. And then Heather won a George Kuntz signed 8x10. Congratulations to you both. Thank you for entering. Thanks to everyone who entered. I'll be reaching out to you both on addresses, and I'll get those mailed out this week. I have to mail out last week's winner, or not last week's. I have to mail out the other week's winner because he had some issues with his address. So I got to get that out anyway, but I'll mail those out yet this week. So congratulations to you both. Appreciate you entering. Appreciate you hanging out. Also appreciate Nicolay Law and doing a double giveaway. So that's always fun. All right. Let's talk about the Rams. We got the 2-2 Packers taking on the 1-3 Rams with their only one victory coming against the 49ers. The game is in LA at 3:25. So the first kind of later game for us as Packer fans. It'll be a little interesting to not have that noon game and not be in a rush to kind of watch football. So my son will actually be able to watch all of the game because it won't be his nap time, which will be fun. This is the 100th matchup between these two franchises, which is pretty crazy. I guess I didn't know prior to kind of looking at the backgrounds that the Rams have been around for so long. But it's the 100th matchup between these two franchises. Packers lead the series 50 wins, 47 losses, and 2 ties. 3 of those being postseason games. The Packers lead that series 2-1. Green Bay has won the last 4 against the Rams. However, this is an interesting thing that I was looking at. The last 12 games they've played at in LA have been losses. The last time they won in LA was in 1966. So December of 1966. That's a long time of losing in LA. So hopefully we can break that streak. These two teams most recently met last year, where the Packers defeated the Rams 20-3. If you remember, that was a game Stafford was hurt, and we saw Brett Rippon being thrown into action. So what can we expect for the 100th meeting between these two? Offensively, the Rams are without 2 really big weapons. They're without Puka and Cooper Kupp. They still have Matt Stafford, of course, but and he's no stranger to the Packers, but they're having a rocky season with injuries. And Stafford's actually only thrown 2 interceptions so far on the year and has paired it with 2 interceptions. Their offense is 8th on average in passing, just behind Green Bay with 224 yards on average. Rushing game's pretty weak. 28th on average, averaging 88.3 a game. And their scoring is 22nd in the league on average, averaging 18.8 points per game. Comparing that to the Packers are 7th in passing. As we mentioned, they're just ahead of the Rams there. 2nd on average in rushing, with 174.5 yards a game, and they are 6th on average of scoring points per game at 26 points. So kind of key things there. Packers 26 points on average a game, where the Rams are looking at 18.8 points per game on average. Defensively, in years past, especially as a recent, the Rams defense has been kind of their bread and butter. With the loss of Aaron Donald to retirement, it seems like that identity might be changing a little bit. They are right now, the Rams defense is not stellar. They're giving up on average 385 yards a game, which is the second worst in the NFL, just behind the Colts. Their rushing game or the rushing defense is just horrible. Worst in the NFL at 165.5 yards on average given up each game. And then their passing game is 22nd in the league at 220 yards on average given up. How that compares against the Packers: 21st overall average, or 21st overall for total yardage, averaging 339 yards given up each game. 25th in passing defense at 230 yards on average, and 11th for rushing at 109 yards on average. And then the Packers have given up 22.3 points per game on average, which is 20th in the NFL. And I don't know if I mentioned the Rams, but they've given up 28.8 points per game, which is second worst in the NFL. So kind of going back in that, their defense is giving up the second worst points, second worst yardage, worst rushing. So, there's a lot of flaws in that defense. Turnover differential. Let's talk turnovers. How are the Rams doing there? So we talked about Matt Stafford giving away 2 interceptions. They've also given up 2 fumbles. They're as far as their takeaways, they've taken away 1 interception and 2 fumbles, so they are a -1. Where the Packers are number 1 in the NFL with turnovers generated. They've had 8 interceptions and 4 fumbles, but they've given up 6, which is 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles, making them a +6 differential, which is number 1 in the NFL. Hoping Jordan can kind of take care of the ball a little bit more, especially if we can lay off how many pressures he has. Let him kind of take his time, read the field there. So like I said, this isn't the same team that we saw with Aaron Donald, especially on defense, but they do have some solid playmakers. Stafford can do it. Stafford's a big threat. Anytime he's in the backfield, he's a great quarterback. He's been in the league a long time, drafted number 1 overall in 2009. He is a great quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback. They got some good quarterbacks too. They got Tre'Davious White, who's a really strong cornerback, and then Darius Williams, another strong cornerback, and then Kyron Williams, who can be a threat for him as well. So what is the key here for the Packers to get back on track? As we're looking over everything, obviously that's a lot of analytical data. All situations are in any given Sunday. All of that can be thrown out at the window at any time. But if I am the Packers, my game plan is going to be simple here. It is going to be something the Packer fans have been saying for a long time, but we're going to kind of replace a little word in it. Instead of feed Aaron Jones, we're going to feed Josh Jacobs. Feed Josh Jacobs, feed Emmanuel Wilson. Let them feast against this defense, especially one that's really weak in a rushing defense. We talked about last week, we talked about the Vikings had a really strong, or had a high-ranked rushing defense. And we talked about that's because Minnesota had been up in so many games, making teams be one-dimensional. The opposite here, the Rams haven't been in a lot of blowouts. They haven't been blown out in many games except the Cardinal game. Their number 1 ranked, or their number 1 or 32nd ranked, or their first worst defense for rushing, is a product of a bad rush defense through 4 games. The Packers really should get Josh Jacobs going early and often, pair it with Emmanuel Wilson, wear him down. Let them, kind of the same game plan you saw like when we went against the Colts and their bad run defense. Just let them do it. Let them take the hits. Let them, let Love really not take his hits. Let him just keep handing off the ball. Take what the defense gives you. Control the line of scrimmage. Control the clock. Just make life a lot easier. If you can put those points up on the board early, make the Rams get into a hole, and then make them one-dimensional. And then increase those turnovers like the Packers have been doing. The defense is going to get their opportunities to get turnovers. They need to capitalize on it. Let's see here. I'm trying to see, just take a look at my notes here, see if there's anything I missed. Obviously, it's going to be in SoFi. SoFi is really, I mean, there's going to be a lot of Packer fans there. So I don't know the home field advantage that the Rams are going to have. I'm sure they're going to have, they're going to have noise. They're probably going to pump in their crowd noise, even though you're not supposed to do that. But um, as I'm looking at it, that's got to be how you attack it. If you try to get too cute with this and try to throw it too much and try to overcomplicate things, I think it could potentially be a longer day. Now, I still think either way, because where the Rams are short on their weapons, I think you could kind of overcome some of that adversity. But I'd rather see the Packers just take care of business, take care of the Rams, take care of business, and keep going. Hopefully, ending the week with a win, bringing us to a 3-2 point. Any given Sunday, though, as we've always said, the Rams are a good football team. Matt Stafford's done Matt Stafford things. He can make you pay any Sunday, Monday, Thursday. So, Chad, we know Stafford like Stafford knows us, and Stafford is good for some picks if they can dial up the pressure. Well said, Chad. I love Matt Stafford. I thought he was really fun to always go against. He's always been a really good competitor, been a really good player for the Lions for a long time. I was happy to see him win a ring in with the Rams. If it couldn't be the Packers, I was okay with seeing Matt Stafford get one, because I've always been a big fan of Matt Stafford. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything left to touch on that topic. I think it's pretty short and sweet on what you can do. So if you've been watching the show, or if you've been watching the reels, you know that every week I share a fun story that I enjoy, kind of end the show. This week's no different. So if you've been following my page, you've probably heard this story, or if you've been around for a while, this is an old story. It's not a groundbreaking one by any means, but it's a great story. One I'm actually posting on the page tomorrow. So figured I'd get ahead of it and just kind of do it as the story of the week. So during a practice in 1960, the Packers were practicing outside, as they do, and Green Bay was experiencing some bad weather. They were having some heavy winds, some rain. So as Ray Nitschke was heading to the practice field, he put on his helmet. Some stories report it's because of the rain. Obviously, he's heading to practice, so maybe just threw it on just to have it on. But nonetheless, throws on his helmet. And shortly after doing so, a strong gust of wind blows over a coaching tower, which then fell on him. The coaching tower was reported anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. I'm sure it's probably grown like a legend, right? This tower gets heavier and heavier every time the story's told. Either way, very heavy tower, but it gets blown on him. Alerted by the commotion, Lombardi rushes over to see what happens. As he's kind of approaching the tower, he's like, "Who is it? Who's under the tower? What's going on?" And he's told it's Nitschke. And he responds, "Nitschke? Oh, he'll be fine. Everybody get back to work." So Nitschke, knowing how tough, Lombardi knowing how tough Nitschke is, just, knows Nitschke's fine. It's good. We can all get back to work. Thankfully, though, Ray had his helmet on, because one of the bolts from the tower ended up puncturing the helmet. Thankfully, it didn't do any damage to his skull or get punctured in his skull or anything like that. But nonetheless, still a pretty scary incident. And in fact, actually, the helmet is still on display in the Packers Hall of Fame. So if you go there, you can go see the helmet from that incident. Like I said, that's an old story, probably not new to anyone who's watching right now, but I always think it's such an interesting story. Just shows like how tough Nitschke was, that he could take on, I don't know. Rumor is that it's a 3,000 pound tower now, and live to tell the tale. So really fun show. Appreciate you guys living with me throughout this technical difficulties that we ran into. I don't know what's going on. Mike, I get that was my fault. That was my bad. I'm not going to do that again. But the camera knocking me out of the room here, I have no idea what that was about. So appreciate everyone who's watching, everyone who entered the giveaway, everyone who commented, everyone who hung out. It's fun seeing some familiar faces, fun seeing new people. So really appreciate you guys hanging out week in and week out. And Tony, appreciate you watching, man. Appreciate all the you always bring some good comments and you back me up on stats when I don't have them. So I appreciate that. So appreciate you guys. Hope to see you again. Same time, same place next week. Hopefully we're celebrating the Packers win. So see you next week. Have a great week and go Pack Go.